Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to the CNC With Dave Gatton show. I've got with me tonight Mr. Jim Senecolin.
Hello, everyone.
Live from, Midland, Michigan.
Yep.
And from West Virginia, I have Mr. Landis Stutes. Bobby was unable to be with us tonight, so it'll be us three. And we're going to talk about stepper motors and stepper drivers and that kind of stuff. We'll be getting into that in just a minute. I also want to remind folks that this ridiculous stepper motor knob challenge, I don't think I mentioned it last week, but we still got about a couple more weeks. I've only got 4 videos on that so far, so your odds of winning are pretty good if you get out in your shop and make something. So just thought I'd mention that. We'll be announcing the winner Saturday, October 5th on that. And let's take a look here and see who we've got out there. We've got Charles Steed is watching on Facebook. Mark Lindsay CNC over there on the tubes. Rob Hampton from down under, I think, on YouTube. Larry Galt. Thomas Graham. Let's see. He's got a question already. Remind me, Jim and Landis, to come back and catch that, because it'll be scrolled up off the where I won't see it in a little bit. Yeah, we got a bunch of folks. David Krause, Troy Pritchard, Matt, Awesome Wood Things Haas, Donald Brunswick from Missouri. Trying not to miss anybody here. Edward Newman, Frankie CNC, Mike Smith, Raymond Dixon, Wood Bucket, that's Gary Brady, I believe, Mike Haichu, Harry's Place, Eric Smith, and Sean Rubino. How you doing, Sean? Over there watching on the tubes. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, I wanted to, first of all, before I get started talking about anything, I want to make sure that I thank the folks that have given me either super chats or PayPal donations. They have made it a couple of them. Robert Hampton, and I mentioned Larry Galt last week, I think, and Skip Evans have done the little PayPal donation thing, which you see on the screen right now. So those are very much appreciated. I thank you guys. And also I got I had to go back and find it because I couldn't remember who it was, but Rick Policki did a super chat as well. So I want to thank you guys for doing that. And like I say, if you want to help support this show and want to make a donation of some kind, you can do it with that right there. And that helps me to purchase the stuff that I give away and, keep the show running here. So thank you all very much for that. Okay, now we got a lot to talk about, so I'm going to get right down to business here. And don't forget, we also have the guitar giveaway we'll be doing a little later. So if you've tuned in for that, we'll be doing that a little bit later in the show. And make sure you're here if you entered, because you got to be here to watching live to win. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about stepper motors. I've always said I get a lot of my material or topic questions for this show from just skimming through Facebook and seeing the kind of questions that are asked in the Facebook group and stuff like that. Well, one that caught my eye earlier this week or a few days ago, whenever it was somebody was just getting ready to do their, run their machine for the very first time, getting ready to do a test cut. And I don't know exactly what happened. If he's out there in the chat, maybe he can comment or something. But the thing kind of plunged a lot farther, started cutting deeper than what he had planned. And it kind of messed up his spoil board and even cut through some of his aluminum T-track, I think. And after I got to thinking about all that, it kind of made me think that I guess I've been a little slack, because when I, did the Gatton CNC and even the GarageWorks CNC, back when I first did all that, I always kind of recommended that, people go to Xylotex, get that plug and play kit, makes it super easy. And all I had to do was go to my website and look at the screenshots and see where the steps per unit was 6,400, plug that in, and everything was hunky-dory. Everything worked fine. And then, this recent thing has kind of made me think that now that Xylotex no longer offers the plug and play, and really pretty hard unless, you want to pay some big bucks to get a plug and play unit, you kind of have to figure some of that stuff out yourself. So now when people go to my website and see that they're that 6,400, now they've got to go back and say, well, where did that number come from? Why is he putting that in there? And is it going to work with what I just bought? The Stepper Online kit or the kit off of eBay or whatever. So I thought I would spend a little time tonight, kind of backing up a little bit, and we'll go through what might be some pretty basic stuff for some folks and for some newbies, and maybe even some people that have been doing a while. I mean, maybe if you did get a plug and play kit, you may have never seen this before. You just bought the plug and play kit, plugged in the number I told you, and it worked, and that was it. You didn't worry about anything else. So we're going to kind of go through that tonight. We'll be talking about stepper motors a little bit. We're going to be talking about the drivers, and we'll be talking about what you have to do to make this and this and your CNC control software all work together to make your CNC run smooth, because nobody wants a CNC that's not running smooth. And, when you tell it to move 10 inches, that's what you want it to do. You want it to move 10 inches, not 5, not 20, So we're going to kind of go through some stuff. So like I said, some of this stuff, may seem too basic for you. And if it is, I'm sorry. But I felt like it was worth trying to talk about tonight. So I've got a few, let me see over here. We got a bunch more folks over here. Dave Matthews in the house here. Chad Wolf. Calibration is the key. Well, yeah, calibration is the key, but you got to know where to get it close before you even start the calibration. Wood shop. Oh, there's Steve Atkins. There he is. Okay. I'm glad you're here tonight, Steve. Maybe this show will make a little sense for you. Kevin Harder, Steve from Harnell Media is here. How you doing, Steve? Alan Lee's in the house. Hitch Hamilton, all the way from Florida. How you doing, Hitch? Let's see what else we got. John Alden, another Floridian there. Larry Duggar. Thanks for watching, Larry. All right. Let's, if you guys got any questions, you may want to hang on to them for a while and then plug them in when we get through. This isn't going to take long, but I put together a few little slides so I can remember what I'm wanting to try to tell you without forgetting. So we're just going to start off here. We're going to talk about these stepper motors and drivers. All right. Well, everybody I think knows you've got to have the steps per unit. You've got to plug that into your software somewhere, and you've also got to set it here on your drivers. You have to make sure your dip switches are set correctly for the steps per unit. So what is steps per unit? Steps per unit is how many pulses or steps it takes to move the axis 1 unit. Okay, now you might be saying, well, all right, Dave, what the heck is a unit? So if I can get this thing to change here. There we go. A unit, if you're setting your machine up for inches, one unit's going to be 1 inch. If you're setting it up for metric, it's going to be 1 millimeter. So that's what it means by steps per unit. If you're setting it up for inches, it's how many steps it take to move 1 inch. Or if it's metric, how many steps does it take to move 1 millimeter? Okay, now when you're talking about these stepper motors here, and this is a picture I took of this one, pretty much all the stepper motors, or most stepper motors, are going to have 200 full steps per revolution. So to go one complete revolution, it'll have 200 what they call full steps. And somewhere on this thing, it will probably have a label that says 1.8 degree per step. And for example, I highlighted over here on this one. This one said 1.8 DEG/step. So where that 200 number comes from is if you take 360 degrees in a full revolution and divide that by the 1.8 degrees, that's 200 steps. So that's where that number comes from. Okay, now when we're talking about a Gatton CNC or a GarageWorks CNC, assuming you've used the lead screws that I highly recommend, they are an Acme Precision lead screw. I always have links to McMaster Carr. I have that on my website so people can make sure they get the right thing. But they will say that they're half by ½ inch, which means ½ inch diameter, by 10 TPI. Well, in this case, the TPI means threads per inch. That's how many threads are on 1 inch of that thing. Okay, and then it will also say 5 start, and it may, in some places you look, it may say 2 TPI. Well, in this case, that TPI doesn't mean threads per inch, it means turns per inch. So it means that a 5-star lead screw, and let me just do this real quick. This is the 5-star lead screw. If I can hold this up here, and I did a pretty poor job, but I tried to take a Sharpie and put a little dot where the 5 threads are. So when you cut this and look at the end of it, you'll see 5 individual threads. So that's what a 5-star. And also you'll notice when I hold it this way that the threads are, well, I guess I better do it this way. They're angled at, a much steeper angle than say just, like if you went and got some thread or something, it has a much steeper angle to it. So you have to make sure when you're shopping around for your lead screws, and I say that for the people who, look on McMaster and go, oh, well, I want to try to find a better deal than that. Make sure when you're shopping around, whoever you're talking to, make sure they understand that it's not that you need 5 start, 2 turns per inch. And that way everything will work with that 6400 number that I have on the website. All right, let's see what else we got here. So this is what the driver looks like. And you'll notice that it has a pulse rev table right here. And it starts out at 400, 800, 1600, 3200, 6400, 12,800, and 25, 600. And of course, it's got, if you want to use the 1,000, 2,000 and all that, some drivers will use that. But so here, this is how you figure out how to set your tip switches correctly. And you have to know, you have to kind of do a little formula with the stuff a little calculating to know where you're at and what you need to set this at. Well, if you want to set it at the 6400, which is what I have on the website listed, it says that the switch 5 needs to be off, switch 6 is on, 7 is off, and 8 is on. So it's off on for those dip switches, 5 through 8. So that's what you would want to set it for. And here's I've kind of laid this out here where I've done the calculations for each one so that people can see how you arrive at this. And notice in red is the one I have because that's the 64 steps per unit that you'll be setting the dip switches for. And that is if you want to set it for 16 steps, which means in between each one of those full steps, there's now a total of 16 steps from one stop to the next versus trying to run it full step, which you never want to run it full step because it's going to run really rough. But you could do half step, quarter step, 1/8 step, all the way up. You can even go higher than that, you see, and you'd have a much finer resolution down here. But anyway, so to set this to 6400, like I said, it's off, on. And over here, I did a shot where you can see here's switch 5. If you look down here, there's a little printing on this dip switch that says on, and it's showing an arrow is down. So it means when the switches are flipped down, they're on. So this one here would be up because it's off. That one's on. That one's off. And then that one is on. And that's how you would have that. In fact, this particular driver, the way it's set in that picture, is set to run at the 6400. And that is the magic number that you put right here in your steps per. In your Mach 3, same thing in UC, CNC, and I'm assuming the same thing in Linux. I don't have Linux software, so I'm not super familiar, but I'm sure you have to tell it that somewhere. So that's how you arrive at, here we go, at that 6400. So yes, it's 5 start. I see Matt said 5 star or 5 star. Yeah, it's 5. It means 5 start with the T on the end. Okay, so that is where all those numbers come from. And like I said, I hadn't really explained that before because I always recommended the plug and play kit. And usually the people that wanted to build their own electronics knew all that stuff anyway. They knew how to figure that. So I just wanted to kind of do a little refresher, I guess, or maybe not even a refresher because I don't think we've really talked about that much. But that's how you do it. And I guess I should go back and look at this real quick. The way this works, again, that you take the 200 steps from the stepper motor. If it's a 1.8 degree for 16, you take a 16 step, you take it times 16, it gives you 32 steps, and then you multiply it by 2 because the lead screws have 2 turns per inch, and that's how you get to 6400. And as you can see, when you start out here, they just all kind of just double as you go. You just keep getting finer and finer resolution. But 6400 or even 3200, if you want to set it for that, would work fine with the Gatton or the GarageWorks, either one. I just always use 6400 because that's what those plug and play kits were. So to keep it simple, that's the way I've run mine. And even when I use the kind with the drivers like this, I just set them for 6400 and it's worked out well. So let me take a look back over here in the chat, see if we've got any questions. Scott Wilson says, the dogs are on, you're killing me. I know I've got them on my TV in the living room. I just got the sound muted. So not that I could hear it back here anyway, but All right, Kevin says his is set to 4,000 steps per unit, and I'm running a Gecko. Yeah, the Gecko uses all those other numbers, the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and all that. So let's see. Wayne Hurl's out there. I'm trying to say, I don't see any questions. So either they don't care or they understand. That stepper looks like it's a foot long. Yeah, it's not quite a foot long, but it's pretty big. Larry Duggar says he suffered from the great Molex connector burnout this week. Well, all I can say, Larry, is that it's going to get you sooner or later. So if you're using Molex connectors and you think, they're working okay, it'll get you sooner or later. I can guarantee you.
Hey, Dave, you might want to mention too, when you change those settings in Mach 3, you have to click on save.
Yeah, that's another good point. In fact, I've got. Let me turn that off and come back to. If I can get this. Yeah, I'll just show it here. Yeah, when you get this setting, well, this one's going to look all screwy because I've got this one connected to that little machine behind me here. So I had that set up for the show in case anybody needs to see any kind of, well, if it's only 20 after 8, I'll probably do a little demonstration for something else of a question I saw on Facebook. But yeah, this for the Gatton and the GarageWorks, this would be 6,400 here. And then you need to make sure whatever you put that in, that you have to hit this button here, which is grayed out right now, but it says Save Axis Settings. You have to hit that before you move on to the Y axis. Because if you don't, and you put a number in here and then you just click on to the next one, it automatically reverts back to the default, which I believe in Mach 3, it's like 2,000 or something like that. So you won't actually be saving those. And of course, the other good thing to do is to come here and save these settings for your configuration so that you save everything correctly in your XML file. So, all right, let's see. They make 0.9 degree steppers too. Yeah, well, that's half of 1.8, so sure. Dave Mitchell from Seattle. Let's see what else we got here. Steve Atkins says, "Go Dogs." Okay, Greg says, "How does the well, I think he means CNC interface with the PC?" That's a good question, but there's I'll try and explain it here. Yeah, there. Okay, it says CNC here. For most of these hobbyist machines, yeah, it used to be a serial interface, or a lot of the older ones use the old-fashioned parallel ports, and some people still run that. But now I have a little device. I'll see if I can hold it up here without unplugging it. But I am actually running, let's see if I can, a UC100. And it's this little device which you see connects to a parallel port. So that's running to the controller on the back of that little machine. But this is nothing more than a USB cable running to the computer, which interfaces with this software, which is the Mach 3 software. So all right, let's see. I'm not sure what Dave's trying to say here. The URL should show you a picture of the screen. I don't know what he's trying to tell me there. Dave, do you have to put in a load resistor for the motor controller? No. I'm not sure what that question. Like I said, I'm not an electronic guy, but I know enough how to hook up the stuff I use. So I'm not sure what that question is referring to.
I built my own electronics, and I did not use a resistor, load resistor. It's not needed.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. He says, look about 3 comments higher. So let's see if I can find where that question was. Well, it may be more than that because, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he was trying to say there. Okay. Alrighty. Okay,
Wait.
so I don't see.
Yeah, that question from Thomas Grimm, which is, if it fits with the topic, I'd like to see a demo of the jogging functions, and how do you control the jog step size, and how does it interact with a LHB04 controller?
Okay. Well, I have in fact, let me turn the screen share off here. I've got oh, great. Now it's not going to work. All right. Let me see if I can reset that camera. All right. Is it there now? Nope. It's still not there. Yeah, it's not popping up. Oh, great. Well, I may try to do that, Thomas Grimm, if I can get this to.
It's up, Dave. Oh, it was up for a second. There you are.
Okay. Yeah, I got this. Okay, so let's see. He says he wants to see a demo of jogging functions. And how do I control the jog step size? And how does it interact with an LHB04? Okay, the LHB04 controller, that's the pendant, I believe is what he's talking about. I think that's the number for the pendant. Well, I don't have a pendant connected to this one simply because in order to be able to control all this by this same computer that I'm using to do the live stream, I'm totally out of USB ports at this point. So, because I've got all kinds of stuff hooked up to do this live stream. But I'll see if I can, and you'll have to tell me. And again, when I screen share to do the software, it's going to make that picture little, so you'll just have to bear with it. I'm hoping they will add some more options for the screen sizing. I'd love to be able to put this screen here, take up half of what's left, and then the camera 2 take up the other half. But right now I just have to do this. But using Mach 3, and again, I'm going to have to show you like this because I don't have a pendant connected to this. But if I hit that tab key, well, if I get over here, it will pop out this little, well, I guess you'd kind of call it a pendant, a virtual pendant or whatever. But you can step the jog, set the jog rate. Right now it's set at 100%. And let's see, what was the question again? How do you control a demo of the jogging function? Yeah, I think he's wanting me to show it with that LHB 04 controller, and I'm not going to be able to do that because I don't have one. But just using this, I just use the arrow keys on the keyboard, or I can actually click on these as well. And this may get may get a little bit loud here. And I don't really think this is going to answer his question. But the pendant controller you're talking about is basically, it's sort of like this. I mean, it has a step function, and depending on how many times you press it, you can have it move 1 inch every time you turn a click of that wheel. You can have it move 100 thousandths or 0.100 every time you turn it a click. You can have it do 10 thousandths, or you can have it do even 1,000. So if you're trying to dial it in and set it up, and you want it to barely move, you can set it on that 1,000ths and turn it that way. I'll probably have to do the demonstration that you're wanting to see when I'm out there in the shop where I have that pendant hooked up, because I just don't have it in here at this time. Let's see. Let's see any other questions. Okay, Jerry Brown looks like he's got a question here. Well, let me take this question first. Is it really necessary to twist the motor wire pairs? And again, I'm not sure what that was referring to, but as we've talked about before on here, for 4 wires, they're in pairs, so you've got to keep the pairs together. And if I remember correctly, it's green and black is one pair, which will be either the A or the B, and then the red and blue will be the other pair, which is either the A or B. And as we've shown before, to determine that, you should be able to take this motor and grab it by the shaft, and without a whole lot of effort, spin it pretty easy. But if you take wires that are paired, and like I'm going to hold these black and the green together, now I can't turn that. So that's how you determine which 2 wires are your pairs. So I don't know if that answered your question or not, Dave, but I hope it did. Jerry Brown says, I have the original Xylotex box and Bob breakout board, but I am building a second Gatton. Is there a new breakout board that works with the new controller? Well, what new controller are you talking about? Are you talking about another Xylotex? Because at this time, he's not even selling those anymore. I don't know what got into Jeff at Xylotex, but apparently he's getting into the selling CNCs now. He's got some real small little, couple of different little CNCs that he's selling. So he didn't have any kind of kit or anything. Jim Chira says, I have the Xylotex set up like you. How do I know the inches per minute? I'm assuming you mean steps per unit. And depending on when you bought it, if it's one you bought a long, long time ago, Jeff used to send them already set up for 1/8 step. So back then, the magic number that you put in to run one of my machines was 3,200. Now, well, when I did that video series, if y'all remember the video series I did a long time ago, I can't think what it's called. How to build a CNC router on a shoestring budget. All right, I did that like 2014 or something. Well, when I started building that and I shot the videos, when I built when I bought the kit from Xylotex, it was just like he'd always been selling. He'd always been selling them at 1/8 step. So that number was always 3,200. So I shot those videos and I'm telling everybody, you know, here's what you plug in. And then right after that, without even saying anything to me, which I guess, you know, not surprising, he changed and started doing a new plug and play kit. And now all of a sudden it's a 16th step instead of 1/8 step. So I'm getting all these people that are building these kits or, you know, building these machines and buying that kit and saying, hey, I went to your website and I plugged that 3,200 in. It doesn't work right. When I tell it to go 4 inches, it goes 2 inches. And what it was is he had changed those to 1/16. And then because I asked him, I said, are you doing something different? He goes, yeah, I'm setting them at 1/16. I'm like, oh, well, great. That, you know, that makes that video I made kind of obsolete. So I had to go back in and put a note in that video description and put comments in there and hope that people would see them and say, hey, right after I did this, he changed it. So if it doesn't run right, it's going to be either 1/8 step if it's a really old one. But most likely, if you've bought it within the last couple of years, it's going to be the 1/16 step. So you'd use that 6,400 number, assuming we're talking about a Gatton or Garage Works. If you're talking about something else, then I don't know what it would be. Mama Scram says, how did I get that virtual pendant? When you go to Mach 3, and folks, I'm going to tell you, this is how it comes real handy to read that manual. I keep talking about that Mach 3 manual, how it's so big that you download it in a PDF file, I forget, it's like 100 pages or something. Probably nobody spends any time reading it. But on your keyboard, if you just hit the tab key, that makes that pop out from the side. And I think mine's kind of screwed up because I'm using dual screens here. Because if I remember right, I think it pops out on the other side when I'm using my computer out in the shop. But that's all you're doing is you push the tab key to make it pop out and the tab key to make it go back in. All right, let's see. What else we got over here? Yeah, Lyle says hit the tab key for the virtual pendant. That's it. Troy Howe's into place. Stepper online or something. I'm going to have to make a new setup. Okay. Yeah, you can use, are you planning on using a UC 100, 300, or 400, something like that? Some kind of a USB CNC motion controller or even an Ethernet controller. Pretty much any kind of a breakout board on there. I'm trying to think if I've got any in the description down here. I might have a link to one down in the description. Troy says he'll be using a SaneSmart 5-axis. That's a good one, that one he's mentioning there. And all of them aren't very much on, Amazon. Kenneth Y says you can grab it and move it. I guess he's talking about that virtual pendant. Let's see if you can. I don't know that I've ever even tried that. No. Not letting me do it, but I don't know if it's got something to do with because I'm on this dual screen monitor or what. But yeah, I've never known you could move it. I never have done it. So Terry says he may use the EC400 ETH to know what I know. Okay, Jerry, I'm glad you're watching tonight because actually you're one of the reasons I set up this. Yeah, so you got one from Chips that kept overheating. Yeah, if you just keep a good fan blowing on, you'd probably be all right. unless it's got so bad that the driver's totally shot. Zotec CNC looks like a Gatton with Acme rod covers. Yeah, I did notice some similarities when I checked that out. Anyway, let me tell you about Jerry Brown. He had posted a question, I think, wanting to know, he's running something, and like a lot of us, let me get this Mach 3 out of here. Like a lot of us, he's positioning the start point of his router, kind of like what you see in camera 2 there. It's kind of over the center of the part, which that's the way I like to do a lot of things. I program them to go to the center. But I guess what he's doing is, I guess he's kind of in production mode, and when he's running a part and it goes back home or goes back or to the start position, it's right in the center of the part, and you've still got the spindle spinning around, so you kind of have to wait till the spindle slows down to move the part. Either that or you have to jog it back out of the way, and that gets to be where it's slowing you down. So I was telling Jerry that if you come in here, and I'm going to load that part, that you can see here, this is the same test part that I have laying on that table over there. But if you just edit that program and come all the way down here to the bottom, and right here, this line right here, if you just want to move it back, you know, for example, that part's not very big, so I could change this to like 5 and then save this. And then when I got done to the end of the program, I don't want to run this whole thing because it's kind of loud, but we'll see if I can run it from here. Okay, now if you look at that, well, it's kind of hard to tell from that, but now it's not in the center, it's actually moved back. You can tell it better, really, I guess, from looking at this right here. You can see that instead of coming here and stopping, it moved out here with that 5 inches. But what I would do, Jerry, is if you've got room, of course, I know you got room on that Gatton unless you're making really big parts, is make a fixture that has at least 2 parts, either side by side or front to back. Side by side, if you're going to use 2, it'd be the best. And then there's another little trick you can do with this. And let me come here, and I'm going to load this one in. I'm going to bring it back to 0 here. And now I've got 2 parts side by side. So if I want to get in a production mode, I can come and edit this program. And I can come all the way down here, and then right in front of where, and I'll just put let's see, that's 220. I'll go, oops. Here we go. You can put an M47. And an M47, if you check, let me save that and put it back in there. If you come over here to where your M codes are, your M47 says that it's repeat program file or repeat program from first line. So if you're in a production mode and you've got a fixture set up with 2 of these, and say you've got 100 of them to run, this makes it really easy because let's see if I can come. Well, I'm going to come to the second one. Yeah, somewhere in there. And what will happen is it'll finish the first one, the one on the left. Then so when it goes to the one on the right, you can pull the blank out on the left, plug another one in your fixture, clamp it, or maybe you've just got a pocket where it fits snug or whatever. And then when it finishes the one on the right, I should have went a little bit farther before I started. Okay, here we go. So when it comes up to that M47, it skips that. It jumps to the beginning of the program, so it forgets where it's going to 0, 0. And now it'll just take off and go back and start doing the one on the left again. So if you got a whole bunch of these to do, it will sit there and run all day long like that, as long as you've got that M47 in there. The bad thing is it'll run all day long until you tell it to stop. So you have to be there. But you know, if it's a quick run and you're just trying to knock them out in a hurry, that's a good way. You can put the M47 on there and just keep feeding blanks. Another thing you can do, if you don't want to use the M47, and if you got room, you could make a fixture where you've got, say, 4 parts. Say you've got a longer run and each one of these parts takes about 10 minutes. You can, put these 2 and then go up here and put another one. And the way I like to run them is I like to run this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, kind of go around in a circle. And that gives you some time. Like, say each one of these takes 10 minutes and you've got 4 of them there. You can start the run, and while it's running, you got about 40 minutes before it's going to get back to that first, 40 minutes before it's going to get back to that first one again. You can go eat a sandwich, or, you can go be doing some sanding, or, whatever else in your shop, and just make sure that when it gets down to this last one, come over and start swapping these out. Or if you want, you can, as soon as this one gets done cutting and it moves out here, replace that one. A lot of different ways. The main thing is, the way to run stuff quick is to just make sure the machine never stops or has as few stops as possible. So that M47 works great. I've used that a lot of times on stuff where I got to do a bunch of them and need to get it done in a hurry. Bucket says, yeah, M47 works great. He cuts his dog bowl tops and never stops. Thanks for the info. Yeah. I mean, it's all right here. None of this stuff I'm coming up with is anything I invented. It's all right here either here or in the manual and stuff like that. So just gotta take a minute and find it. All right. Any other, and by the way, was that machine too loud? I muted a couple of times there. Was it too loud while I was trying to run? Let's see. Jerry Brown says, when I do production, keeping it running will save a lot of time. I found an issue with my fixture and need to design the cam holders for a jig, and I'll make a 4 square to test this. Yeah, just remember that M47, Jerry, because I know you do stuff where you're using blanks all the same size and making a bunch of stuff. That'd be a good thing for the kind of stuff you make. Let's see here. Ray Dixon says, last week had a power failure while running my garage works. Everything shut down but my laptop. So I knew where I needed to start from, but the Mach 3 locked up also. Yeah. Are you running any kind of a motion controller like a UC CNC or I mean a UC 100 or 300 or 400 or anything like that? Or are you running a parallel port? Okay, Jerry says it wasn't loud at all. Good. Jerry says not that bad noise. Okay, well, I muted just in case it got too loud. Of course, you notice I'm not going to fire up that thing. I don't even have it's got a plug that goes into it. I haven't even put the plug in it, and I don't have any bits in it because they sent me 2 collets for that. One of them 6mm and one of them's 8mm. So I tried to fit a 1/4 inch in that 8mm, and it just won't work. It's too tight. It won't go in. So I don't have any metric tooling. So, okay, Ray says he's running the Ethernet smooth stepper. Okay, so let's see. It says your laptop, everything shut down but my laptop, so I knew where I needed to start from, but Mach 3 locked up also. Okay, and of course, the next question I'm going to have is your laptop connected to the internet, either through Wi-Fi or hardwire? I'm assuming it's probably not hardwired if you're using a laptop, but if you have the Wi-Fi turned on and it had some kind of update or virus protection, virus scan running or something like that, that can, if it's got something like that running in the background, it can mess you up. I actually had, like I tell, it's not, I use those UC 100s. I have like 3 or 4 of them. And I was out running my Gatton again yesterday, and had done it twice last week. And I thought I had wiggled where it plugged in the USB in the computer and moved it to a different one that fit tighter. And I thought I had it fixed, but it quit on me again twice yesterday. And what I did is, I wish they, I guess it's hard for them to do it, but this is just, just a little push-in connection with this little mini USB thing here. And sometimes after, if you pull that in and out a few times, that may start getting a little sloppy. So I actually pulled mine out and took some needle nose pliers and just ever so gently bent those things a little closer together so that when I pushed that in, it was a lot more solid. And because that one out in my shop, it gets drug around, and I've accidentally stepped on it and unplugged it. And so it's had a rough life. But after I did that, I didn't have any more issues. So it's okay. Ray said he's not connected to the internet. Well, then had a power failure. Everything shut down. But well, when you say power failure, did your lights flicker? I mean, did it? So I knew where I needed to start from, but the Mach 3 locked up also. Yeah, power failure, even a quick flicker will make you lose the connection from Mach 3 to whatever you're using, UC 100, or whatever it might be, UC 100, any of them. All right, let's see. Dave Clemens in the house. How you doing, David? All right, Patrick's Workshop is in the house. Now, here's a salesman for you right here. Check this guy out. Patrick's Workshop says, looks like that UC 100 needs a 3D printed case to hold the mini SUB cable from getting messed up. Well, it looks like you should probably make me one, Patrick, and then I'll plug the heck out of it here on the show and help you sell a bunch of them. How about that? Patrick is I never would have thought it. I've known Patrick pretty well, and I never would have thought he was going to turn into the 3D printing guru that he is. He's Fusion 360. He's got it going on. He's making all kinds of stuff. 3D prints all kinds of useful stuff too, not the crap that I always see, not Millennium Falcons and Darth Vaders and stuff like that. I always see grown men printing. He makes stuff that, vac hose adapters and other stuff. So, okay. Now it's coming a little clearer now. He says the power went off and it was off for 3 hours. What would be the best way to start from where it last left off? Okay, now we're getting somewhere. See, I need those details, like it was off for 3 hours. Well, first of all, do you have homing switches? Because if you got homing switches, you're probably home free. But if you have homing switches, it's not a big deal if the power goes off, because that last G54 work offset will be wherever you last zeroed it out. So if you have homing switches and the power goes off like that, when it comes back on, you can rehome it and then hit go to 0, and it should go right back to where the last G54 was. Otherwise, if you don't have that, remember I've preached this till I'm blue in the face here. If you don't have homing switches and you're running a project that's, you don't want to, nobody wants to lose a project, even if it's 10 minutes. But if you're running an Aztec calendar or something that's going to take 3 or 4 hours, be smart, folks. Put you a reference hole somewhere off in the skeleton of that part or something, and then write down, how far it is from that point to wherever you're putting your 0 on your part, or make that your 0 if you're setting it up that way. But there's really no reason for people losing work because of power failures, even without homing switches. If just use your head a little bit, set your reference position before you get started, and it's no biggie. All right. Patrick says he's on it. He's going to design one of those things. Jerry Brown says, Dave quit the 3D printing too early, didn't he? No, I don't think so. 3D printing, it just isn't for old Dave. I like making stuff out of wood and shiny aluminum. Plastic stuff just ain't for Dave. And besides, I know all you guys with 3D printers, so if I need something printed, I got the Patricks, I got all kinds of folks that have 3D printers. Here's another one. Kevin says, Dave, you should have Patrick make you a Dremel mount for that Go CNC. Yeah. I'd have to give him some dimensions and all for him to do it. Of course, even though I don't do 3D printing anymore, I still know how to model 3D stuff in SolidWorks. So I could always send old Patrick an STL or whatever, and he would be able to work, make it from the file that I drew. Jerry, I knew I'd hit a nerve. Here we go. Jerry says, easy there. I have not printed a Millennium Falcon yet. Yeah. Okay. See, I knew I'd hit a nerve with somebody out there talking about Star Wars stuff, because that's all I ever saw. A lot of those guys that do printers, 3D printing is always what I call crap. Millennium Falcons, Darth Vader, the saber swords, and I'm thinking that's what grown men need a 3D printer for. make all that stuff. All right. I don't see any more questions. We're right at the top of the hour at 9 o'clock, so we've done pretty good here on time this time. We've got a guitar to give away tonight. Yeah, Patrick says he loves seagulls, aka STL files. All right. Yeah, we've got a guitar we're going to give away. I don't even know how many folks here. Let's see if I can see. Okay, yeah, it does. That does work. I've been playing with my Stream Deck. I don't know, you guys may not know what a Stream Deck is, but it's this thing right here. Trying to get where I can do some one button pushes on this stuff. And then, of course, I forget I got it over here and I haven't even been pushing anything. So I'm going to try some things just to see if they work. That one says it did. I'll try that one too. That one says it worked. Okay, yep, there it is. So those are working. So cool. Yeah, so we're going to give away the guitar. It's the North Carolina. I guess I could have showed a picture. This is the one. This is pretty slick. It's got a nice walnut neck. It's got this first in flight North Carolina plate. And it's 3-string tuned GDG. And of course, if anybody wins and wants a different plate than this, all they got to do is let me know. Right, Jim?
Yes, sir.
Jim was all excited. Do you want to do your little unboxing before we do the other giveaway?
Yep, I sure will. Well, last month I won the license plate, and my box came today, and no fault of Dave's, but here's my box, and I'm gonna open this baby up.
Yeah, he hadn't even looked at it. He just cut it open right before the show. So
yeah, and so it came all nice and packed in a beautiful box, no damage. I'd send this box back to you, Dave, with all the stuffing in it.
No worries. I got plenty of them.
And this is the license plate that I won, and I asked for an Alabama plate. It's beautiful, beautiful. And I'm not a player, so I got to learn how to play. Sorry if I'm not in front of my mic, but this is an Alabama, and I spend my winters down in Orange Beach, Alabama, and I can hardly wait to bring this thing down there and be playing it. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Now, one reason, let me explain why it took me so long because you won it last month in last month's drawing, and I just got it sent off this week. One, I had to change the plate, but sometimes when people want a different plate because of the raised letters on plates aren't all the same, a lot of times I have to make a new bridge. And I had a piezo disc pickup on that one. As I do a lot of the license plates. Well, it's hot glued to the bottom of the plate. So when I went to switch the plates and went to pull it off, one of the wires came off that little piezo disc, and I went to solder it back on, and it wasn't, I don't know, something got messed up. And when I buttoned it up and plugged it in, it just was not working well at all. So I thought, okay, forget that. I'm just going to go ahead and put a single coil pickup. So I had to order I didn't have any, so I had to order a single coil pickup. And by the time it come in, and then I got ready to put it on there, it was one of those that come with all the wires done. It's like a harness where you've got the output jack, the volume and tone control. Well, if you hold that up there a second, Jim, where the two knobs are on top, that's the volume and the tone, and then the output jack is on the very bottom towards the back. And yeah, right there, the wiring lacked about a half an inch of being long enough to stretch across there to go in there. So I had to cut the wire apart, resolder in a little splice piece. And then, of course, once I got it back together, I wanted to make sure, since I was sending it all the way to Michigan, that it worked when it got there. So, thankfully, it should work. I mean, I plugged it up and tested it out here. So, but I'm glad it came today. I thought it wasn't going to get there till Monday.
Yeah, that's what the UPS said Monday, but it showed up today. Imagine that, the post office being ahead of schedule.
Yeah, that's a first for sure. So anyway, let me get my little wheel of names up here. And I'm going to go ahead and cut some of the stuff off here that I'm not using anymore. And let me get the wheel of names. We had, I think, let's see. If I remember correctly, yeah, here it is. I wrote it down. We had 48 people on the that entered this time. So I'll get this going over here. So I've got everybody's name on here. And I want to point out too that there are not very many people, but there's actually a couple of people that I know and that watch the show, or customers of mine or whatever, and actually have the same name. So if the name pops up and it's one of those where somebody else has got that same name, don't get real excited, because I got to confirm which one it is. And one of them I know is Dave. There's a Dave Mitchell, a David Mitchell. One of them's in Kentucky and one of them is in Oregon. And I don't think the David Mitchell from Kentucky, I don't think he entered. But you'll notice right here where it says David Mitchell, there's an OR, because that's the one from Oregon. So, and I think that's probably the only one like that. But anyway, I've also got a little handy timer set up on the Stream Deck here. So it's a 90-second timer. So we'll click the name. And of course, you guys know the rules. You got to be watching live to be able to claim your prize if your name is drawn. And you have 90 seconds. So without any further ado, let's click this and get it spinning here. Okay, the first name is David Yarborough, and you have 90 seconds from right now.
I think it's Dwight.
Yeah, what did I say? Did I say something different?
You said David.
Oh, okay, yeah. Dwight, yeah, well, it's right there in front of me. Dwight Yarborough. So I don't know if I've seen a Dwight Yarborough on there or not. Patrick's Workshop says, I don't see my name. I'm pretty sure if you entered, it's on there. Yeah, here it is right here. Right beside old Steve Nealon. Dave Mitchell, Oregon is actually Washington. Yeah, it may be Washington. I know it was out on the West Coast, and I knew the other one was from Kentucky. So, and I'm assuming, since you said I think, that you must be the one from Kentucky. All right, we got 15 seconds, and I haven't seen any comment yet, so I don't think Mr. Yarborough is watching. You should hear a sound. I don't know how loud it will be. And that's it. So we will spin her again. And we've got Harry Tasker. You have 90 seconds from right now. Okay, so the Dave there is from Washington. Okay, well I got the wrong state, but at least I know which one it is, because I don't know why I thought you were from Washington. A lot of folks, I don't know why, but when they fill out the entry forms, it'll say like first name, last name, blah, blah, blah. But the line where you put city and state is on the same line. And most people will put the city and they won't put the state. And, if I don't take the time to go look up the zip code, I guess wrong, because I was thinking Oregon, but yeah, it might be Washington. Okay, Lyle's saying congrats, Harry, but he's not shown up to.
Oh, he does, Dave. He says Harry's place.
Harry's place.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I always hate when they have those usernames instead of the name. Okay, so he's saying he is here. Okay, well, let me just. Oops. Let me check something right quick. Well, come on now.
See, if I didn't have a good mic, I couldn't have sounded off as fast, right?
Well, that's not working for some reason. All right, Harry. So, yeah, I was trying to. Oh, there you are. Okay, so he's in Oviedo, Florida. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not. Probably not. But he is in Florida. Okay, okay, he just confirmed. There, Oviedo, Florida. And again, I don't know if I'm saying it right. So congratulations, Harry. Again, like I always say, if you want a different plate, just go to my website and pick out the plate you want, and I can switch it out, or I'll be happy to send it just like it is. Right now it's got this North Carolina plate, and I'm not even sure I got any Florida plates. I may not have. So he says close enough. I guess he may be talking about the way I pronounced it. I don't know. But anyway, congratulations to Harry. And like I said, just get with me and let me know what plate you want, or confirm if you want me to send it like that. And I'll get it sent off. All righty. Another one down the drain here.
Hey, Dave,
you
have a question from Lyle Fuke. He says, seeing all that packaging from Jim's guitar, I had a thought. What cutter would I use to cut Kaizen foam? He's up there probably about 30 comments from the bottom there.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, there it is. I don't know what little bit I've cut Kaizen foam with. There's a knife that you can get that's called, it's kind of like a little razor knife, but it's got a blade that will pop out, a good ways. And it's even called it's made by the same folks that make the Kaizen foam. And that's what I've always cut it with. Now, if you're talking about, when you say what cutter would I use, I'm assuming you're talking with your router. I don't know that I even mess with it unless you're going to cut a whole bunch of it. And then you just have to experiment and see what works, I guess. But what little bit I've done with Kaizen foam to make pockets to set stuff in, I've just used that little Kaizen knife, little razor knife. So that's it. Anybody else have any questions or anything they want to see? Like I said, I've got the little machine set up back here. Um, in case anybody wants to see anything, not a whole lot I can show you, obviously, because I'm not going to run it and cut anything. That would make way too much noise. But Todd from HCNC says a flute. I'm not sure what that is. Wayne says, what is the best way to find the show going forward? Well, Wayne, it's real easy. You're already here you're on YouTube, so you're already here at my YouTube channel. Just click the subscribe button if you're not already, and hit that little bell beside the subscribe button, and you will always get notifications every time I go live. If you want to watch it on Facebook, you can, I don't know if you're following me on Facebook or not, but you can find me. I'm easy to find. I'm, the only one out there with Dave Gatton, I think. You can follow me on Facebook. You'll get a notification on Facebook when I go live. Same thing with Twitch and Periscope and all of those. I'm not hard to find. I can't hide from anybody now if I wanted to, because I'm all over, even Instagram, Facebook. I used to do Periscope Lives way back in the day when they were the thing. And I still had that account. That's why I stream this show to Periscope and also to Twitch. I don't think if I look over here, there's not a single soul watching on Periscope or Twitch, but I did have somebody follow me recently on Twitch, and they said they had ran across the show because I'd been streaming it there, so it's saved over there for a little while. The show, I mentioned this last week. The way this restream works, when you try to stream to multiple platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Periscope, it doesn't schedule on YouTube like the old one used to. That's why when I first started doing it, we always had trouble, because there would be a link that I would post and say, hey, it's going to be here. And people would be over there in the chat waiting for me to go live. And next thing you know, when the restream would start a new stream, and I would be somewhere else. So then we'd have to send everybody the new link, everybody have to move. So now what I do, and I did it again tonight, I did it last week, and it seemed to work a lot smoother, is I start the broadcast, I hit go live, and I have up that little screen that says the CNC with Dave Gatton show will start soon. And while it's live, then it's starting up on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, all that. And then while I have that screen up there, then I'm going to find the YouTube stream that it creates and go in and add all the description items, put it in a playlist, add the thumbnail and all that. Now, if you're not seeing anything in the description, any kind of links or anything, you need to refresh your screen, because that means you got on the show before I actually saved and did that. But Patrick says he's on Periscope. Yeah, it's not, I don't know, maybe it's not showing anybody, but it's not showing a 0 either. So maybe they're not, Restream's not doing a good count on there. But anyhow, I actually start the show now. And when I say start the show, I mean hit the go live button 5 minutes at 5 minutes till. That way it gives me time for that stream to start, gives people time to get notified and go find it. But they won't miss any of the show, because I'm not really going to start until, well, it might not take me the full 5 minutes, but you're going to have time to get over there, find the right link if you're on YouTube, and before the show actually starts. But we're actually already live when you see that screen that says show will start soon. Let's see. He says, I put the URL for Linux CNC setup as a comment to a live stream posting on Facebook. Looks like YouTube. Yeah, with YouTube, you have to be moderator to be able to post links in the chat. Unless I have a moderator, and my moderator's not here because that's Javi. But I might have somebody, I can't remember who else moderator. It might be one or two others, but yeah, it won't let you put anything with a link in it. Okay, Dave Clemens says, Dave, is your spindle mounted to the wood on the front of the Z-Box, or do you have an aluminum plate? Well, I have kind of both. Since I'm using that aluminum mount that came with the spindle, rather than, I needed a way to attach it to the front of that Z-Box. So I had a piece of 3/8 plate, and I drilled and tapped holes and attached that plate to the back of the aluminum mount. And then I also made matching holes where it will mount to the front of that Z-Box with the same hole pattern that all the other things use. So, and it works out good because that aluminum plate will also act like a heat sink, not that it needs it, because it never really gets even warm to the touch. Wondering if anyone has any spindle recommendations. I've had good luck with that one that I got. There's links to it on the website. The 2.2, I think I probably got links for a 1.5 kilowatt, but pretty much any of those you buy pretty much on Amazon or eBay or whatever, they're going to be either the same brand or probably coming out of the same place in China, even if they say a different thing. But anyway, I want to thank everybody. We're going to wrap this up here. It's a little after 9. I want to thank everybody that has tuned in and watched tonight. I appreciate it. I know it's Saturday night and y'all probably got a whole lot better things to do than watch this old fart. So I appreciate y'all watching. I do want to remind everybody that there is not going to be a CNC with Dave show next week. I'm going to be out of town. And for those of you who, I know there's at least one person watching the show tonight that's went to school where I went to school. I'm going back for a reunion, and I'm going to try to do a live broadcast from my 45th high school reunion. So it should be interesting. And that's, of course, assuming I can get a good signal. I think I'll be able to, worst case, I'll use my phone as a hotspot. But I'm going to try to do a live stream from there because I know there's a lot of folks that can't make the trip from wherever they live because we're all scattered out all over. So the ones that can't make the trip to come back to the reunion, if they tune in, they can, if they somebody that's at the reunion that they want to talk to, all they got to do is let me know, and I'll go round them up, and they can get together, and they'll kind of be included in the reunion, even though they maybe can't make it. So I'll be trying that. And also, when we come back on October 5th, Ryan Ballard is going to be joining me to discuss CNC with a Raspberry Pi. He also, if you don't know, he has a Facebook group. I think it's just called Raspberry Pi. I'll have to confirm that, but I think that's what it's called. But he'll be joining me again. And, of course, October 5th, I'll be announcing the winner for the ridiculous stepper motor challenge. So that's all I got, I guess. Landis, you got anything you want to talk about before we get out of here?
No, the only thing you talked about that spindle is a great spindle. I've had it now for almost a year and a half, and I run it constantly. It's the same My Sweetie spindle.
Yeah, My Sweetie. That's the brand I bought. It was on, it was on Amazon, and I was able to get it. It was on Amazon Prime, so I ordered it, and I was able to get it in like 2 days. It's the water-cooled 2.2 kilowatt, and the thing just awesome. I love it. All right, Mr. Senicola, do you have anything you want to add before we sign off here?
No, sir. There was a comment about 9 or 10 comments up from Troy Howell that says, can you briefly explain how can I maintain, there you go.
Can you briefly explain how I can maintain 100 inches a minute on my cut, but slow down my machine to 70 inches a minute when moving to another part? Okay. I think I'm
It's in the
assuming
rapids,
you're
isn't
talking
it?
about you've got two different parts in all in one program. All right, I can do it pretty quick here. Give me just a sec. I'll bring up my VCarve Pro, and I can show you pretty quick, I think, how to do it. Okay, let's see here. Let me get a. Okay. Here is a Mach 3 program. It's a simple program. It's that little test part. I've got two parts, or actually, I've just got one part. And in this example, I was using the array tool. So let me just delete that. And I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to do a profile path here. But first, let me do this. I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to scoot another part over here. Okay, so now I've got two parts. Now they could be the same part. They could be different parts. It doesn't matter. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a profile tool path on this part. I'm going to select my 1/4 inch end mill there. And I'm going to say, wow, this is all different. I haven't even done any of this since I got to version 10. So, all right, so we're going to just calculate that. Okay, so there's that tool path. Okay, now I can come over here to this one, and notice if I hold my mouse over here where the tool path is, and it says profile, and I hope you all can read that, but when you hold it up, that little window pops up, and it says that the feed rate on that one is 100 inches a minute. Okay, well, now I can come over here, and I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to do a separate profile. I'm going to select that same tool. And again, you look right here, it's 100 inches a minute, right? Okay, so I'm going to calculate that. And now if I hold up my mouse here, it is 100 inches a minute, the same as that first one. But if I want to cut the first one at 100 inches a minute and the second one at 70 inches a minute, I can come over here to where that second profile is, and I can double click it, get it to come back up, and then I can go over here and I can say edit, and I can come over here and I can change this to 70 inches a minute and click OK, and now hit calculate. And now when I hold the mouse over the first one, well, come on, let's go. There we go. It's still at 100, but when I do the second one, come on, let's go. That one says that the feed rate is 70. And so even though I'm using the same tool, you can use that little edit feature. You select the same tool, but you come back and edit the second one and make that one whatever you want. So got the same parts, two different tool paths. One of them's cutting 100 inches a minute, and one of them's cutting 70 inches a minute. So,
hey, Dave, I read that as he wants to cut at 100 inches a minute, but he wants to move to the next second part at 70 inches. If you're the way I read that, he wants to slow down the rapids, so he has to set his rapid rate to be 70 inches. His rapid moves.
Oh, okay. Well, that's easy enough too. What you have to do is, let's see if I've still got it open. I hope I do. Yep, I do. Okay. So if you want your rapids to go at 70, you don't want them to go any faster than that. You could come here to this config, the motor tuning, and you could change like this, for example, that little machine out there, the velocity set at 100 inches a minute. You would just change that to 70. Like right now, you probably got it set at like 200 or something. So you could change that to 70, and that way the machine, when it's jogging, will never move faster than 70. It's if you have it for your X and your Y, it'll never go faster than that. Now, there's other ways of doing it too. And again, this kind of gets into knowing a little bit about G code. Because if you come here and you edit this code, every time there's a G00, that's a rapid move. So it's going to go at whatever the max is, you know, what you have set up in your velocity on your machine. So for example, there's an F70 code here, but when it gets down to here, it's probably going to move whatever the, well, of course, if it's a short distance, it's not going to get up to that speed anyway. But you could go through and actually put a command in here with an F, which is the feed rate, and set it for 60 so that it wouldn't move at whatever the max is. But I don't know. That's, like I said, that involves knowing a little bit about the G code and knowing how to go in there and change that. Which I will say this, you know, I always tell people, you don't really, these days, because of, you know, software packages like VCar Pro and pretty much any of them, you really don't have to know anything about G code, and you can run a machine fine because the software does all the stuff. But it is really helpful if you do take the time to learn a little bit about what these codes mean, because sometimes it's just like that, putting that M47 in there a while ago. It's a lot easier if you know how to manipulate the G code and enter, you know, put blocks in there that will do something that the software won't do. So I don't know. Let's see what he says here. Basically, the red line is where I need to slow it down. So yeah, I guess he's talking, when he says red line, I guess he's talking about the rapid move. Okay, here he says that's the ticket. That's what I was looking for. So yeah, I mean, don't be afraid to get in here and play around with this G code, because it's really, you know, you all have heard me say this a million times. It's not rocket science. It's really pretty simple when you think about it. Any kind of a G1 code means move while cutting. You just think of it that way. That means it's going to be moving while it's cutting. A G00 means it's moving without cutting. So it's a rapid move, moving from hole to hole or from part to part or whatever. And really, I mean, it's really, if of course, when you're running a program, I know that, I don't know where that went. There we go. When you're running a program, I know that thing is scrolling so fast, you can't really keep up, try to understand it. But you also can, let's see if I can do this. You can also do this. Let's see if I can remember where it's at here. Where is it? It's probably right in front of me. But there's a way to run this one block at a time. Oh, here we go. I knew it was right in front of me. You can select that, and when you turn this on, you notice how, well, let me turn that off and get it to, now I'll turn it on. See, now it stops. So I can go, okay, let's see what this line does, or we'll see what this line does. Well, let me get on down here a little bit farther. So you can do this one line at a time. You can see, okay, that one says 00 F70. So that's what it did. It moved back to the 0. Okay, if I say, okay, what's the next line do? I can see it move back to where it's getting ready to start. And it still should be 200 thousandths above the material. The next line, what is it doing? It's the Z's dropping down. So now it's in the material and it's doing a plunge of speed rate of 20. On and on and on. So you can set that little single block and run through a program, even if you don't know a thing about G code, and that will help you to start to see what things do, where it moves and how that works. Obviously, if you've got your 0 point in the center like this, anytime it moves over here, it's going to be negative. If it moves over here, it's going to be positive. So, yeah, don't be scared to get in there and look at that G code and even fool around a little bit with things. You're not going to hurt anything. All right. Well, we were ready to sign out of here 20 minutes ago. It never fails. Every time I say I'm going to go home, shut off the lights and go home, everybody starts asking questions. So, all right. I hope we got your question answered, Troy. If you got any other questions, and let me remind folks too, we're going to get out of here, I promise. But, with this software now, I do these live streams, but anybody like Troy, for example, if you were trying to do something in your shop and you had a question and you post it on Facebook and maybe everybody's at work and they don't have time to answer whatever, just shoot me a message or whatever. I can come in here and open up this stream and you can connect using your phone, and I can show you either here with this machine or out in the shop, or I can do a screen share. I can do all kinds of tech support using this platform, and it works out great where you can actually not just hear me tell you or read my typing saying do this, but I really prefer that. I've done that with Jim a couple of times, and it's a lot easier to talk and show people than try to do all that dang typing on Facebook Messenger stuff. That drives me nuts. So Troy says he gave me a super chat. Not sure if you'll see it in. Yeah, I don't think the super chats show up with this multi-platform thing, but I will see it. And I do thank you very much, Troy. You're awesome. Takes 20 minutes to say goodbye. Yeah, I know. That's usually the way it works. Every time I say I'm going to wrap things up, that's when some people go, well, let me they wait till the end and ask their questions. So, and I try to make sure we've got all the questions answered before I get off of here. So as long as they keep putting them in there, I'll stay right here until I can get them all answered, or at least I'll try to. Patrick says Dave Gatton tech support. So, yeah. So anybody, if you sent me a super chat or the PayPal donation thing, I will see it. They don't pop up in this chat thing like I wish they did, but I will definitely see it, and I certainly appreciate it. So thank y'all so much. So if we don't have any other questions, and I don't think we do, so let me see if I can get off of here before any other questions pop up. We will see you all in a couple of weeks, or if you're a Danville person and interested in watching my crazy live stream live from the reunion, I'll see you next week maybe. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Landis, for joining me tonight. Always good to see you. Thank you, Jim. Enjoy that guitar. I hope you get have a lot of fun playing with that. So
I sure will.
good night, everybody.
Good night.
We will see you all in a couple of weeks.
Good night.